This episode of Small Business Leaders Podcast is brought to you by Adams Lane Photography. Hi, and welcome to this episode of Small Business Leaders Podcast, coming to you from the Legacy Podcast Studio in Kernersville, North Carolina. I am Audra Adams, and this is my co-host, Lamar Powell.
Welcome today. We have an exciting episode for you. Zachary Grist with Piedmont Decks and Outdoor Living is our guest. We have a lot to learn from him, so let's get started.
Welcome, Zachary, and also welcome, Jackson. We didn't put that in the beginning in our opener, but we welcome Jackson to the table. I'm so glad that you brought him along as the owner. We're going to get into what Jackson's position is and what that means, and I think that's going to add another layer.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
We are glad to have you here. So tell us a little bit about what your business is.
So we pretty much specialize in decks, porches, and everything outdoor. So we're kind of trying to be that go-to deck company here in the Triad. That's our goal, just kind of offering that service that other people can't.
Why do you think other people can't?
Just because a lot of people are very generalized in the construction industry around here. They'll do a bathroom, a kitchen, a full house remodel, and then they'll also do a deck on top of that. I think us as a company being a specialist like that, we're able to offer a lot more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like we're able to focus just on these kind of projects. We're not doing a bathroom one day and then a kitchen the next and then a deck, and that can get confusing and things can go all over the place. So really just trying to position ourselves as the professionals here in the Triad and the experts.
I think that's a smart move.
Yeah.
Really, really smart move. Because I do have construction in my background as well. I know one of the things I did early on is this was when decks were just starting, and it's like 40 years ago. That began to be a thing. So me and a couple of buddies of mine started doing that.
Yeah.
And now since then, that was I was in my early 20s as well, and then later on in life, I got involved in other things that I specialized in, and then now today with decks and the type of decks that can be built, the technology is so advanced.
It's insane.
Yeah, it is.
It's not just a basic pressure-treated deck anymore.
And you're attaching something to a house, and you want it to stay there for a very long time, and you have a lot of issues involved. So I think it's a very smart move on your part, and it's such a beautiful thing, an aesthetic thing to a house.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think it's great that you're doing that.
So just tell me a little bit about what made you want to specialize in the decks and outdoor living spaces.
So basically, I grew up in the construction industry, so I've been around all aspects of it. And I really just clang to the deck side of it, just because you're outside, you get to listen to music, you're in the weather, like it's peaceful to me, honestly. Like, and you get to be so creative with it. Like, it's not just a basic deck anymore. Like, we can do curves, we can do different colors, different products. Like, we can make these things insane now, and it's an art actually. But yeah,
you just light up when you are talking about it, which is so incredibly cool. Now, I'm going to go back a little bit to you saying I grew up around construction. Tell our viewers and listeners what that actually means. Like, what is your background? Where are you originally from, and how all this happened?
So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Akron, Ohio. So
I've spent a lot of time in Akron.
Okay, absolutely. It's a good place. Northeast Ohio has a lot of hardworking folks, and I think that's where I really got my drive from, because like you got to work hard up there. It's not the richest place in the world. No. A little background in Akron, like that whole area had the rubber factories. Like a lot of my grandparents worked in either the rubber factories or the steel mills.
Yeah.
So just hardworking blue collar folks that, like, in my opinion, helped build this country. So I think the roots are there, and yeah, so I grew up there 22 years in Akron, Ohio. I think my love for construction started when I was young. Bob the Builder Like, love Bob the Builder.
Bob the
Oh,
Builder.
absolutely.
Dun, 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 dun.
I used to just sit there and watch that all day, and I don't know how my grandma dealt with that. Like, just hearing that on repeat, it's crazy. But,
How old are you, first of all?
I'm 24.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so
Okay.
a little youngin', but yeah.
No, that's awesome. So anyway, continue.
Yeah. So I think one of my when I really knew was like I got a drill when I was like 8 years old for Christmas. Like, and I was just the most excited kid in the world. Like, how many kids are excited to get a drill for Christmas at 8? Like, that's when I kind of knew. And then like I find all these pictures like my grandma or my dad gives me of me just in the backyard like hammering on something. Like, I still have my original toolbox in my shop. So there's just a lot of history, and it was always destined to be, in my opinion.
I love that. When did you get your first tool belt?
Shoot. It had to have been for my Bob the Builder costume. So
I knew it. That's what I was asking. I knew it.
Maybe like 5 to 7. I don't really know. I'd have to go back in the archives for that one. But
No, but the reason I know that is I have a daughter your age and then one that's 20. And so I was especially with a 20-year-old, I was in the Bob the Builder phase and the Dora the Explorer phase. And so we had, to shop in that way. So there's always that section. I always saw the Bob the Builder tool belt, and I wondered.
And I'm pretty sure like one year for Halloween, I don't know what like the little backhoe thing was called in Bob the Builder, but my grandma made me like a paper mache one that I wore around. It was so cool. I do need to find that photo from her.
You do. Now, how did all of this stuff, and you're 24, why are you here?
Why am I here? That is the greatest question, honestly. I don't even know why I'm here half the time. But so yeah, went to college, did that whole thing, how you're supposed to.
Where'd you go to college?
So I went to college for 1 semester at Mariota College up in Ohio. Quickly learned it wasn't for me. I played football there. I liked football, didn't like school. Probably the greatest decision financially I probably could have made was leaving.
Yeah.
Because I would have
racked up student debt.
Yeah, and not have been happy. So I would have probably been doing something I really didn't want to do. So left there. That was a hard decision. Came back home, worked in a weld shop for a little bit, and then I got this really amazing opportunity to work for a company called Foreverlawn. They're based out of Northeast Ohio. They do artificial turf.
Right.
So basically, I used to travel the country kind of helping them with their products or installs and things like that, and met a lot of really good people.
How old were you when you started working for them?
Was I about 20? Yeah, I was about 20-ish.
And when you say you travel the country, like, tell me, like, how vast that experience is.
I wouldn't say, like, I feel like when people think of, like, traveling the country, you get in an RV and you're, like, driving around the country. It was, like, flying out to, like, Texas or going to Oklahoma or, like, that was probably the furthest west I went, but it was a lot of East Coast stuff. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, that's how I got to North Carolina, is I came down here and I worked on a project at Childress Vineyards down in Lexington.
Yeah.
We did some turf down there, and
I'm from Lexington.
Okay. So yeah, it's a cool spot. Love it. But that's where I originally lived when I moved down here. But the Foreverlawn dealership down here, the owner offered me a job, so I ended up taking that just because it was an opportunity to move away.
Yeah,
because not too many people do it. I knew I probably wouldn't be satisfied where I was in life, so I wanted that opportunity. So eventually came down here, started working with him a little bit, and still had that drive. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Growing up, having lemonade stands, like always trying to think of an idea of like a new business or something new. You know what I'm saying? So, and I came down here and I loved working with Jake. I learned a lot from Foreverlawn, the company, and then him as well. A lot of their values I still use today in my own company. So, and a lot of the people I still talk to there, and I still have relationships.
So you're basically saying you took a lot of cues from their infrastructure?
To a point. I'm always learning and always adding to our company. And I'll kind of get into that later about kind of where we are now and why we are where we are now, and the people who are helping me now. But yeah, I'd say that's my background and how I got down here.
Gotcha. So Jackson, you've been sitting there patient, and I want to know how you ended up in the position that you're in. First of all, tell us your position, and then tell us how you got there.
So I'm a sales consultant for Zach. I go out and I do the estimates, send them, do follow-ups, and hopefully most of the time close the deal. And that's where Zach will come in and get the rest started, get the job going. I've been with him for a little over a year and a half now, and we actually met through church. I've been in North Carolina my whole life.
Where were you born?
I'm from Thomasville.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so after we met at church, we were just friends for a while, and then he started his company, and I was begging for a job. It was my junior year, and so he started it, what was that, about December?
No, we started the company in March.
March?
Yeah. So it was the summer, I think, when you came.
Yeah. March, I started begging for the job. Summer, I was able to actually start. And, I mean, it all went from there.
So, did you always know that you had a salesman type gift,
I've always had,
or did you just need a job?
I would say I've always had people
He
skills.
needed a
I
job.
haven't been a salesman the whole time I've been here.
Okay.
For the first year, I was a builder.
Okay.
And so, I mean, that was fun. But the opportunity arose to be a salesman, so why not take it, right?
I mean, yeah, I agree with that.
So with your business and your first point of contact with your customers, I'm sure somebody reaches out to you guys. Are you that first point, or how does that work?
It's usually me.
You-
So at the moment, it's me.
Yeah.
Like I said, as we continue to grow, my phone can only ring so much throughout the day without me going nuts. So eventually we will have an assistant, hopefully. That's where we're heading towards.
Okay.
So yeah, usually I'm the one that intakes the call, and then I go through and kind of filter out people to a
Vet
point.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we have questions we ask, because at the end of the day, not every client is our client, and we're not everybody's contractor either. So I think it's important to save their time and save ours, and make sure we're going to be a potential good fit for each other.
Like, I want to just stop there and say that is amazing advice. So, to our viewers and our listeners right now, like, replay that part over. I'm definitely going to make that a reel, but you don't, it's difficult, and you want all the leads, you want everything to work out, but having the wisdom to say, it's okay if we're not a fit.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that would be, something potentially really stressful on the client and you, and contentious sometimes. So it's wonderful that you figured that out.
Yeah. I mean, it's a chemistry thing. Like, we got to mix. Like, it's
Okay.
a relationship at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So we got to mix, and we got to make sure it's going to work, and they're going to be happy, and we're going to be happy at the end.
Absolutely. All right. So did you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
when do you get involved in this process?
How so?
What? All right. So he takes the calls and.
So yeah, basically at that point, once I get that call, I have Jackson scheduled pretty down pat.
Gotcha.
So I'm able to kind of know when he's free. That's very important. Organization, that's key in a company. Unorganized companies stress me out. We were at that point once, and it was chaos, but now we're a little more organized. So yeah, so I go through, I take those calls, and I can kind of see when he's free. So I can go ahead and I can schedule it for him, or I can schedule it for myself, just depending on the workload.
Okay. Perfect. Which is, it's better for you. And as he goes along,
Yeah.
you trust the way that Jackson works.
Oh yeah, I mean,
with the client.
there's got to be a mutual trust here.
Absolutely.
Like, that's kind of the hard thing for me, is because as a business owner, when we first start, you're wearing all the hats,
Yeah.
and at some point you got to let go, and you got to trust the people that you put in the positions to do the job. So that's where I'm having a struggle. Is I got to be like, okay, I got to trust that I taught Jackson well enough to go out there and treat the clients the way they should be treated, and I know he'll do it. I mean, that's his character. That's why he's here. But yeah.
I think it's a good point too,
Yeah.
because we've heard that.
A
I can't
lot,
tell you
yeah.
how many times here is that's one of the challenges for an entrepreneur, business owner, is to learn when to add somebody else. And of course, you want that to be somebody like a Jackson that's able to accomplish what you want in that particular realm as you move forward in your business. But yeah, it's so important.
I know. And then what you're saying is, I feel like small businesses, we're operating on, especially in the beginning, a very shoestring budget.
Yeah.
That you think, well, I can do this all myself, so I shouldn't outsource this because I don't have the budget to cover this. But in actuality, if you invest in that and you do it right, then your business can grow in a faster.
Absolutely. It's about
Right.
knowing your budget, knowing your numbers, knowing what you got to charge for a job. Like, at the end of the day, we're not the cheapest. That's not our goal. I know our numbers pretty well, so I know where we need to be at. So I'm not just guesstimating or being like, oh, let's put this markup on it. No, we know where we need to be. We know where we need to hit. So
How did you figure out where you needed to be?
So I did it, but I got the tools to do it. So, I guess we can start with this a little bit. I have a business coach, actually. So, and it's a really unique space I'm in, I would say. It's probably one of the best investments I ever made was getting a business coach.
Heard that
So
before too,
listen, legitimately, if you watched the episode just recently, I think this week's episode that came out, the guest that we had on said almost verbatim what you're saying about getting a business coach.
Yeah. It's just someone who's done it. And then just being in the room with those people, it's basically exclusively deck builders from around the country. So, you got to think the knowledge there, the networking, we have so much power to us right now. It's scary what's going to happen in the coming years. It really is, in a good way.
Yeah.
Okay, so your business coach is a business coach that only coaches more in construction, or
Yep.
okay.
So he's pretty much exclusively to decks, builders.
How did you find that?
Okay, so crazy story. So he reached out to me, I think it was February, and you get all those messages on Instagram and Facebook. It's okay, it's another guru or some guy trying to sell me something or rip me off. And he sent me a message, I ignored it. And then he reached out again. I knew he was a legit person. I follow his company on Instagram. They're Legacy Decks down South Carolina. So I knew he was a legit person. I knew he just wasn't some random robot or spam or whatever. So, and then he reached back out in July, and it was meant to be at that point. Cause we were at a crossroad with the business. We were at a hard spot where things weren't going right. And I knew something needed to change. I knew the path we were going down wasn't sustainable, and eventually this company would crash and burn. So he reached out. We had a really good conversation. And ultimately what it led to was I don't need to focus on the business. I need to focus on myself right now. Because, the business bounces off of me. If I'm not performing well, the business isn't going to perform well. I'm not saying I run the whole, I'm not saying I run the whole business, but as the leader, for any organization, any company doesn't have a good leader, the company's not going to be good. The people below it aren't going to be good. They're not going to be fully performing. So I almost took a step back, and I started focusing on myself. So, and I went through an event with them called LDX, where it was 12 men. It was about a month-long lead-up in July, and then we had a 3-day event, live event. And it was a life changer. I was able to learn skills and habits on how to become a better person, how to nurture the relationships in my life, how to focus on my mental and physical health, and then focus on my business. So it put me in a different headspace.
Absolutely. Everything that you're saying is so rounded. Yeah. I think people in business, and I can say that I've done this myself, we're so one-track mind. Oh, we have to get this done, or we have to get that done. And, later in life, as you grow and get older, which you're not, but you already got so much wisdom for your age. But ultimately, you do come around to, it's got to be my piece. Mm-hmm. I have to be able to function all the way around and be content in all the ways. And otherwise, it's just an energy drainer. And you're just walking through life, and days are passing by, and they're not meaningful. And
it seemed like Chris says, it always seemed like one day this thing would be where it needs to be. One day, it's always one day. And for him, it was always. He was 47, and he kept saying that, and he'd saying that. He took one day. He's like, I can't keep saying this. Something has to change. And that's where I was. I was like, all right. I kept telling my girlfriend, the people around me, I'm like, one day this thing will be where it needs to be, and I won't have to work all the time, and I could be home on the weekend. So one day, and doesn't need to be like that, there's other things in life. There's other aspects.
Did you put boundaries around how much work you would do? How
to a point.
How did that translate for you?
Yes. So, obviously as we continue to grow, I'm going to add more and more positions. Because, I mean, right now, if you think about it, I got like 5 full-time jobs. I mean, marketing is a full-time job. Owning a business is a full-time job. Project managing is a full-time job. Sales is a full-time job. Those are a lot of full-time jobs for one person.
Yeah.
And it's just not sustainable. But it's not like you can just change it overnight. Like, it takes time. So that's why we're slowly kind of phasing those positions out. And as we grow, obviously, we'll have the cash flow to do that and hire those people. And then at the end of the day, I mean, it's going to give our customers a way better experience as well.
Absolutely. Now, I've got some more questions, but if you have one right here.
I just want to make a point because it's for our listeners. Not only this is a great testimony of yourself and your business to being coached, to be better, to provide a better product to your customers, to our community. I think that's a very important point for any entrepreneur, any business owner. We've heard that a little bit too here with this podcast. So anybody that's listening, thinking about that, you just need to be constantly learning, be willing to be vulnerable and be coached.
Oh, yeah. Like, just know your limits and know when it's time to just take a step back.
Yeah.
But some people don't want to do that, and they end up paying a price for it.
It's
so
ego.
I think it's important. It is an
Ego.
Thank you.
Ego.
So I think it's an important thing, smart thing, and especially at your age. Again, in looking at your business as an outsider, I'm impressed with what I see, and that makes me want to be impressed with you because of how you're presenting yourself. And I'm understanding why, because you're getting some coaching, some help. You're willing to learn, and I think that's important for anybody in business.
Yeah, I think that learning is amazing, but implementing it takes the strength. You know what I mean?
And I think the thing I want to compliment though is for a potential client down the road. That's the kind of business and business owner you want doing work for you.
Oh, absolutely.
At your home.
I mean, you want someone that's constantly working on themselves, trying to better the business. Like, we want to be there in 20, 40 years when you have an issue or something. We want to be around. Like, we're in it for the long haul. Like, we want to be here. So, and we want to invest in our community, our people.
Yeah.
Like, I want to make sure our employees can live a good life. They deserve that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask Jackson. So you were with the company before the coaching began, correct? And then after, as you've watched him as a leader, how does that help you do your job better?
Well, I can see Zach's resilience through it, and it helped encourage me to go through that too, because it wasn't just hectic on the business operation side, but also on the day-to-day building. It was rough as well. But I've known Zach for long enough to know that he's going to make it happen. And he puts his focus in the business where it needs to be. And he's not going to make the bad decisions that's going to leave everybody else on the curb.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm impressed with your website because I did look at that and went through that.
Oh, I tried to build it. Like, our original website, tried to build catastrophe. Like, I'm learning to pay people to do what they're good at.
Absolutely.
So that's a good point.
So
pay
true.
people, which in the beginning you don't have a lot of funds. Like, you got to do what you got to do. But, like, at some point you got to start paying people. You got to invest in this thing. Like, if you want, like, we want to be Piedmont Decks, like the premier outdoor living like builder. Like, we want you to go to our website and see that and be like, wow. Like,
exactly.
These are the guys.
I was wild.
Yeah.
So whoever did that for you did
an
amazing job, because that's an incredible site. And your name, you didn't always go by this, did you?
Nope. So recently we went through a rebranding process. So we started out as Northern Contracting. That was kind of paying homage to the North and where I was from. Some people down here don't like people from the North to a point. So I was like, maybe that's not the best for branding and marketing.
North Carolina.
It is what it
your
is. I
act
understand.
together.
I understand. There's a lot of people who come here. I get it. Like, stay where you're from. I understand that. But I'm the exception. But yeah, we went through. We wanted to do a rebrand because we want to focus on, like, we're not just Northern Contracting, a general contractor anymore. Like, when we first started out, yes, we were doing a bunch of random things just to get work. But now, like, we're Piedmont Decks. We are the living builder here. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, okay, That's amazing. And then again, I want to make sure that I look at this camera and say, North Carolina, do better. Goodness.
Yeah, y'all need to do a lot better.
Yeah.
But heck, this is my point though. So
Okay.
we were talking about website. It looks incredible. But there were some things on that I read that I was really impressed with. Not just about the work that you provide, and I know that needs to be a priority, but also that you had a concern for your employees. You have a concern for helping teach young people, about being an entrepreneur, things of that
Absolutely.
nature.
I mean, look at Jackson. He's, 18?
Yeah. 18.
So
You're 18 right now?
he is 18.
I wasn't going to ask you age, but
You're 18 right now.
Right now. I'll pull out my driver's license.
well, great.
I am flabbergasted.
I know. It's awesome. Like a young group of guys that are ready to go. Like, that's what it is.
That's so great.
Like,
So, okay, but now here's what you've told us that you grew up around construction and you grew up, but how did you know how to run a business? Like, is it just, and who taught you other than, I know you're learning more now, but you had to have that before you started this coaching
absolutely.
to some degree.
So my uncle still has a business up in Ohio. It's called MVP. So I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from my dad. My dad had a business once too as well. So I was able to kind of pick and choose like what I wanted to take from it to a point. And it's just been a lot of reading and research as well. Like obviously they laid the foundation for me. They gave me a lot of the basis, but like they're still old school, like times are moving. Like there's so much more technology and things. Like the way we quote our jobs now, I mean, ask him, it's insane.
Insanely efficient.
Yeah. Like
Tell us a little bit.
I don't know how deep we can get. It's kind of like, I wouldn't go too deep with it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, just
it's kind of like our secret sauce. I
okay.
would say.
Then we don't have
don't
to
tell your secrets.
No,
Yeah.
we don't have to know. That's fine.
But it's quick and efficient, and it's accurate. And instead of people sitting there waiting a week to 2 weeks for a contractor, we can do it in a day. Even we could probably do it in 9 minutes based on the build. Like if you're going something crazy like a whole custom build, yes, it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
And we have a planning design agreement for that, which has been huge because we offer renderings as well. So we can sit there and design your backyard because us as humans, we like to see things before they are actually there.
It's almost required
Yeah.
now.
Well, if you're spending that kind of money, absolutely. Like it doesn't make it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me when people don't do it. Like you're just gonna sit there and spend $150,000 and kind of guess what you're gonna get. I guess you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like so, we have a whole design and planning kind of part of our company that we offer as well. Now, like a 12 by 12 deck's not gonna require something like that. Something basic.
Right.
So.
So you are very particular, even down to the type of materials that you use. It went into detail as some of the things that I read. Tell me a little bit about how you went about choosing, or still go about choosing, the materials and those things. And I want to say before that, this is why, and I love what you said, we're not the cheapest, but we're going to be the best.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we've sought out great companies to use materials for. Like I've done my research, I've talked to reps, I've installed different products, and ultimately, like I would say, the product we use the most is called TimberTech, and they're actually, most of it's manufactured up in Ohio, which is pretty cool. Last year I got to go up there and kind of see how it's made and went through their training. So we are certified TimberTech installers, which is huge because it positions us as the experts with that. So we get a lot of our material from the highest quality like distributors we can. We're not just going and getting a lower grade lumber for our framing. Like we're getting the highest grade we can. We even use steel framing. Like there's a lot of alternatives, like you were saying. Like it's so innovative now.
That's why I brought it up at the very beginning, is because the techniques and the equipment that you have available and the new technology is just amazing what's available today. And I've gone to some home shows. And because construction is my background, I'm always looking at things, looking how they're built. And I'm amazed today at a lot of the decking systems that are available, just super high quality and just look extremely good. I mean, that's something that excites me because being in that's just like, man, that is really cool. And it's with materials that last almost forever.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt just one second, just for the viewers and listeners that didn't understand what that was. When we come into a podcast, we all want to start talking, but I like the cameras to be rolling, so it's really authentic. So we're not doing things over and over. And Lamar, all the time, starts interviewing our guests before the camera. I'm like, shh, don't do that. And so anyway, he does. It has pulled through and been the right decision.
On a couple of occasions.
Yeah, on a couple of occasions. So I'm not going to ride him too hard about that. Now, back to the product.
Yes.
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 So TimberTech.
It's a great product. Yeah.
And that they last so long.
I mean, that's another thing. Like, when you go with us, you're investing in, like, our constant education as well, because we're always out there.
Exactly.
Like, we go to IBS out in Las Vegas, we go to the Deck Expo, we're going out there and we're seeking these vendors, and we're like, let me see your product. What can I offer these customers?
That's
like,
awesome.
What can I offer the highest quality? We're not just going to your local hardware store and picking what's on the shelf and throwing it up for you and calling it a day. Like, we're going to give you everything you want more.
And then going to that manufacturer when you have that opportunity and be able to get training that they may provide. I think it's great for that manufacturer to be able to do that, but you've got that knowledge and that skill set as well that you bring to the table. That's part of it.
Yeah, for sure. How do you find, or how do clients find you, or how do you find clients, or a little bit of both?
So referrals are huge. We do like mailer packets right now.
Okay.
Those are probably our biggest marketing expense right now. We hit about 100,000 homes a month. Those have been very successful. We've done magazines, been on magazine covers. That's been huge. So we're currently exploring different options as we go into the next year, kind of taking a look at our budget and going to see where we want to sit. And I mean, we want to grow, obviously, so we're going to have to increase what we're doing right now.
Do you do your advertising budget by percentage, or do you just say, this is a great opportunity, we're going to try this, and invest?
I'm not as number focused right now. As I continue to kind of learn and get coached, obviously I'm going to become a lot more number oriented. Right now I look for opportunities. Like, I know to make money, you got to spend money. So we're definitely looking to kind of increase our online presence as far as like advertising on Google, Facebook, things like that. But I do find the quality in like a face-to-face interaction. That's why we do home shows. That's why we do the Kernsville Folly. That's why we do different festivals, is because like nothing beats that face-to-face interaction.
No, you're so right.
Because that builds a relationship
and
instantly.
It's such a lost art.
It is.
I feel like we're so used to, texting or doing whatever. And I love.
We're like antisocial as a society now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the truth.
It really is. So I strive for, even in our business, I really strive for, okay, can we talk at least over the phone? I could book plenty of things through text, but then I can't hear what people, like today, I'm sitting here, and when you start speaking about certain things, your whole energy just changes because you're passionate about that. And the same thing with even clients over the phone for the podcast or our photography studio.
Yeah.
I really want to hear that, because there's an intuition that says, okay, now I know what direction to go, and I hear their heart, so I can tell their story, whether it's through this podcast or through a photo. And that is something I don't want to lose. I want to continue that. And I love that you are.
Yeah. I mean, you got to believe what you're selling. You got to believe in your product. You got to believe in your company. If you don't believe in it, and if it doesn't light you up, then they're not going to believe it either. Your clients, they're not going to invest in it either. Like, you got to like Jackson, you got to love what you do. You got to believe in that. You got to believe in this company. And I mean, the rest will follow.
How many employees work for you right now?
Right now, just Jackson. And we have a crew. I apologize. We do have a crew. Probably looking to go to 2 crews right now, but potentially looking to add a project manager here in the coming months as I sit down and kind of figure out our budget and make sure it makes sense. But definitely a project manager, just because we want to be able to serve people well. Like, having someone that's dedicated to getting the permits, ordering the materials, making sure the quality of jobs are up. like that's going to be huge for us.
Yeah, and that'll take a lot off of both of you, I would say.
And that'll allow me to focus on other aspects of the business, which I think so I kind of have quarter goals.
Okay.
So I've never been very good at planning. So I've learned, like, it was crazy because, like, when I started my business, I never had a clear plan for the future. And now I can't say I have a clear one yet, but I know I need to get one. So I have, like, yearly plans, like a 1, a 3, and a 5-year plan right now, or working on it. And then quarterly, like, goals and ambitions, as far as, like, my physical, my relationships, my business, like, my mental health, like, different goals like that. So I would say, like, right now my goal for next quarter is, like, for the business is, like, customer, like, focus. Because it feels like as soon as we finish a job, like, it just kind of feels like we almost forget about the customer to a point. You know what I'm saying? Because you're always focused on the next thing. And it's like, that's not why I started this company. Like, I started this company because I want to serve people. And we're not serving people well if we're not checking up on them, if we're not making sure everything's okay, and we're not taking care of the issues when they do arise. Because at the end of the day, every company's going to have issues.
Oh, yeah.
I wish it was perfect, like, but it's not. Like,
no, but even putting yourself in that headspace to think that way, that I don't meet many people.
Yeah.
You do that. You do that very well.
I do. I think it's really important. I know in some of my businesses in the past, I made a habit of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I would try to go back and look at a project maybe 6 months down the road, maybe a year down the road, because I wanted to see how it still looked. I wanted to have a conversation with that client. I wanted to know if everything, and sometimes that's hard. And I think if you don't do a good job,
it's hard to go back.
Yeah, it would be hard to
go
that.
back. It's like, is that thing still standing?
Yeah, which I understand that.
Yeah.
But if you are wanting to do a good job, and you are, I think a lot of great businesses are built on, especially this type of business, is referrals and relationships. I know for my business, one of my businesses absolutely was necessary because I had a whole list. There's 50 people you can call that I've done work for.
Oh, yeah.
And I know what they're going to tell you because I've been back to them. And if they had an issue, would correct it. And sometimes I would correct issues that wasn't even
not under your
my
warranty.
fault. Really, it wasn't. And I just took care of it because it made that client happy. It was the right thing to do.
I mean, you don't know at the end of the day who they're going to refer. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, they could have your next $40,000 customer.
Exactly. You spot on.
Like, so you never know. Like, you don't want to leave relationships in a bad spot at all.
No.
Because people talk, and
that is the one thing we can be dependable about.
Yep.
We're going to talk. So now, Jackson, what part of all this, like, makes you the most excited and passionate about your job?
I really enjoy just watching it grow, because however many months ago that it was you got the GC, we were really limited to what we could do because of that cap that we talked about earlier.
Yep.
And since then, we've been booming, and it's incredible. And the fact that he has the need for me to not build anymore, but to do the sales and estimates, that's just been a wonderful thing that I've loved to see. Because I've been here since it was, maybe we'll do some siding. Oh, here's a little porch. So now we're doing,
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm glad he's here,
jobs.
because he gives that other aspect. Like, he has seen this thing. I mean, he's been laid off for a month. Like, he's seen this thing. He's been through the roller coaster, and he's still here. So that's got to be somewhat of a testimony of what we're doing.
Absolutely,
Sure.
it is. I mean, you can tell there is care in every step of your business. Lamar's mentioned the website. I was on your Facebook today. I was, reading as much as I could, and all of it. What struck me the most is I can't wrap my head around that you're only 24 years old, and you have all of this wisdom and drive and focus. That's the other thing, and that you're aware of the customer experience, and that matters to you. So I just want to say that it's very impressive. Yeah. And then to know you're 18 years old, that's amazing. Whoever, hey, if you're watching, show your kids this. and you're teenagers. You know, you don't have to always know what you want to do, but even getting involved at an early age with a trade, it really can shape your future in the best of ways.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that. I'm actually in school as well, and it's an interesting mix because most college students aren't also construction workers.
Well, you're not really a construction worker.
Not anymore.
You're a little more like white collar now.
Yeah,
you lost your calluses, I would say.
Yeah, calluses are gone. Hands are soft, but it's a weird mix because I'm down at HPU right now, High Point University.
Oh, really?
And I don't know. Definitely gives me a different outlook. And I'm in a business class right now. I'm actually majoring in sales. Imagine that. But and I just already have a perspective on everything the professor's talking about
in real life.
Yeah. Like that real world experience.
Yeah.
And we're talking about management and like ups and downs. And I'm like, well, I've seen that. We had that this summer, and that was in July and December, and like I already know everything he's talking about because I've seen it happen.
Yeah. It's a weird mix, being in school that way, and then, but the real life is so important. And if you can have both, that'll
at the
that'd be
age
great.
and you being again focused and driven. I think that's such a testimony, both of you in the age group that you're in, but not like I can forget about all that. But while talking to you, I don't feel like that's, we have the same age children, and I don't know that they could sit on the other side.
And for me, twice as old. But
right. I don't think they could sit on this side. And our children are very eloquent, but I mean, they're not, they barely get their laundry done and out the door to college, and they do hold down jobs, but I don't think they could run a business. Do you right now? I
think they could do whatever they want to do.
Oh my gosh.
Children.
I mean, the younger ones. Yeah. Anyhow, I want to continue to just say, keep going, because all you're going to do from here, because your intention is to grow, you will. And because that look in your eyes, yeah.
Well, you can't stop an entrepreneur.
No.
You're not going to. That's what you are at heart. And it looks like you have all the puzzle pieces in place, and you're working on that. And what I see, again, from an outsider, I would give you a phone call in a heartbeat if that's what I was needing, because I love the way you have presented your business and what you're doing. I mean, you're going to be the premier.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Oh, I can guarantee it.
What also...
We'll listen back on this in a couple of years, and we're going to...
I can see it.
I'll make that statement now.
Yeah.
All right, it's
I
on
agree.
record.
Yep.
So do you offer financing?
We do. So actually, it's been kind of weird because like it seems like everybody like Jackson's gone on a quote for has wanted financing, and he's not like fully trained on it yet. So that's where I kind of come in on it.
Okay.
I'm like, I've literally had like one customer want financing. It's crazy, and then this kid gets them all, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening, but.
Just whichever.
Yeah, it's
Well, let's
just the
go
way
ahead.
she
You
does.
offer it. That's
Yeah.
something
So
good.
it's a tool in our arsenal that
Sure.
we can use.
And now let me ask you about your families. Yours first, Zachary. Like, are they all still in Ohio?
So majority of my family's still in Ohio. My father's down in Florida, so I'm the only one in North Carolina. So I mean, that's another aspect is like I'm kind of like alone here to a point. Like that's crazy. Like I mean, the move to a different state, start a business where you're completely like alone. Like that's insane because I didn't really know anybody coming here.
That is,
It's hard enough starting a business back home, like where you have support around you. You can call up a friend, be like, "Hey, I need your help on this." Like,
you had no network. You have just made your own way.
But it's made me uncomfortable, and I think that uncomfortability helped me grow.
Totally agree. I have this saying that I'm having trouble talking sometimes. Like this little revelation that happened a long time ago. And I said, I'm going to do things that scare me until they don't scare me anymore. And I believe that in every phase of life, and no matter what, every day, you can go find the things and go, ooh, that makes me uncomfortable, but I want to meet it head on. Because once you do, you've gained that experience of how you navigated that. So when the next thing that scares you comes along, you're more
Absolutely.
apt to look backwards and say, "Oh, that worked out that time, and I do want to push myself here. I do want to grow in this area."
Yeah. I mean, I've learned way more from my failures than any of my successes, and that's
Oh.
pretty cliche saying,
No,
but it's
No,
the
it's
truth.
not.
It's the truth.
It's the absolute truth.
It is,
and
like-
it needs to be shouted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you gotta fall down. You gotta pick yourself back up. Like nobody's coming to save you. Nobody is. Nobody's coming to save me. Nobody's coming to save him. Like we gotta do our own thing. You know, like
So every challenge that comes along,
Yeah.
you learn, you adapt, pivot,
lose some
do whatever
money.
you have.
You lose some.
learn
you
from
lose
it.
some money.
Yeah, a lot of money, and then you
Past
Sorry.
experience.
move again, and you can look back all those experiences and keep moving forward. I know for me, a lot of things that help keep me moving forward is a lot of those experiences, and not all of them have been pleasant.
No.
but I've learned from them.
But when you know the buck stops with you,
Yeah.
you really don't have any choice. You either quit or you
Yeah.
get through it.
I mean, there's people that depend on me. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not as. I mean, we're not a 500 employee company, but there's still people on our crews that depend on us. They have families that depend on us
Yep.
to feed their families, to keep them busy. I mean, I know he doesn't have a family, but he still depends to have money to do things and eventually, hopefully, to have a family and things like that.
You will.
So, and then as we grow, well, hopefully, I don't know.
Saying it like
I don't
I'm
know what your
gonna
plans are.
Die tomorrow or
No,
something.
no. You
Well,
just-
I know he's still a college student.
Yeah, you
and
got
he
a lot
needs to
ahead of you.
eat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, no, he's got that meal plan at High
Yeah.
Point. It's like, their food is insane. He brought me there one day, and I'm like, Jackson, we're gonna start doing like a weekly meeting lunch here. Like, I'm gonna go to your buffet.
So it's fancy,
Oh,
It
it's
is, yeah. It's a lot.
and you could just
crazy.
eat there every day. Do you just take off from work and say, "I got to go get lunch at my college"?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I just wrap my day around whatever's going on, and it's like, well, I'm not going to be home until 6. Better eat lunch at 10:30 today.
I love it.
Just make it happen.
So, okay, you've got your 3 year, your 1 year, or quarters, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. What? Can
somewhat.
Some,
I don't have.
know.
They're not set in stone yet. They're,
I know,
they're in a
somewhat.
process.
Well, how do you best want people to interact with you? Like our viewers and listeners, what is the best way to contact you that you like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're looking to get an estimate or looking for some work, go on our website. We have a contact page, so have you guys fill that out, and then we'll contact you, either Jackson or I, and then we'll go through our questions, and we'll just make sure it's a good fit. You can also reach us via email at info@piedmontdecks.com or by phone. So
That sounds perfect. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to kind of say?
I mean, I feel like this was a good opportunity for people to see like the inside of our company, because like you're hiring us because you believe in us and you trust us and we have that relationship. Like at the end of the day, most people can build a deck, maybe not up to the scale and the standards, but most people can. So people are choosing us for that relationship, and they know at the end of the day they're going to be happy.
And you've made it very clear that that's your heart.
Yeah.
And it's not just something that you say. You are
Yeah.
living by that fully, inside and out. And so that is very encouraging. I just want to say thank you so much, because you've both been very encouraging to
Yeah.
me. And
I'm sure it's nice to see young people like going after it. Like,
It is. It's
we
amazing.
have all kinds of characters that we have the opportunity to talk to. And I say that in a good way, very pleasant
Oh,
way.
yeah.
We have absolutely loved doing this, and for this very reason, so that we can hear your story and see and feel your passion.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do with this, is like, and when somebody thinks about decks, they think about you.
yeah.
And they, man, I want them to come do business with me. I can trust them.
Yeah.
So
Now,
I love that.
the other question, and I don't know if we'll edit that, is there an insurance type of thing that you have to carry to do what you do?
Yeah, we have our general liability, our workers' comp, all of our
Gotcha.
vehicles are covered. So that's kind of part of our initial process, is we present that to the clients, because we have a system. I'm not going to go too detailed in it because it's part of our secret sauce, but we do have a system, and it kind of like it answers all the questions up front. It leaves no gray area, and it gives the
Gotcha.
client what they want, and it builds that level of trust.
Absolutely. I just know that has, as a consumer, when I've had to go outsource anything, I do like to know
Oh, yeah.
that is something that company holds. So anyway, everybody, they're legit. You need to check out Piedmont Decks and Outdoor Living, and you need to get in touch with Zach and Jackson.
Late question.
What?
So you talk about, oh, good Lord, you're going to kill me, Daniel. Outdoor living,
Yep.
part of it, 'cause we haven't talked about that. And I don't want to go far into it. So what does that entail too, other than the deck?
So I would say the outdoor living aspect is that full build. Like, we're going to do the deck, we're going to do the covered porch, we're going to do, if you want to screen it in, we're going to do the hardscape, the retaining wall, the fire pit, the fireplace, the outdoor kitchen. So we're capable to do the whole scale.
Okay, that's what I didn't want to leave out.
I'm really
Yeah.
glad you said that,
Yeah.
Omar.
So outdoor kitchens and
Yeah, we're capable of doing the whole thing.
Yeah,
That's what our
with what-
systems are set up for
Yeah.
to handle that. Because, I mean, an average contractor, it's a lot.
right.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take on, but our systems and what we have in place are able to
Yeah.
handle that and get that done efficiently.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we covered
No,
all
I'm
those
glad you
bases.
did that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming, and it has been delightful. And y'all go look and find them on all their socials, on their website, get in contact with them. And also go find and follow Legacy Podcast Studio on all the social networks, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I got it this week.
You do.
YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you can stream, you can see us. And also, if you're interested in coming and being a guest on the podcast, like Jackson and Zachary are today, send us a message. We'll tell you the process, and we would love to have you in here. If you also have your own podcast that you would like to do, we offer turnkey productions right here. So with that,
Hey,
Oh,
don't
what?
end yet. That's beautiful and fine.
Yeah.
I want to ask one more question.
Okay.
I know this is out of sort.
Oh my God.
I want to know how Milo is doing.
Oh, I forgot about Milo.
We didn't even talk about Milo. He's probably offended at home right now, actually.
The dog. Okay,
dog, the
Milo the dog.
A yellow lab.
He is. He is the head
He
of
is
our
gorgeous.
marketing. He is the head of our marketing campaign.
And the CEO.
Yeah. Employee of the year as well, too, by the way.
Yeah, and Dan, you may be able to put a picture up. I'll make sure you
Yeah,
get it.
we need a picture of Milo.
I want to see
Absolutely.
Milo because I've seen Milo's picture.
Yeah,
and I love
he's
that.
the best dog in the
so
world.
I needed to ask before we close.
That's
down.
like my partner in crime.
Does he
right there.
come with you on the job?
Sometimes. I mean, if you're running around all day, sometimes it's hard to leave your dog in the car. You know,
Oh, yeah.
especially when it's hot. It's a little inhumane.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You'll kind of get in trouble for that.
Yeah, someone could break the window for sure. I would break the window for sure.
But I had to check on Milo
Yeah.
before
Yeah,
we
Milo's
closed
doing
out.
great.
Milo the dog.
He's
CEO.
laying. Yeah, he has
Yeah.
his own bedroom. He's at home right now.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to close out with Milo.
Well, then you close it out.
Well, yeah, I wish Milo was here so I could pet him, but he's
You
not.
don't want
But-
Milo here right now.
All right, thank you for joining us, and hope you enjoy this episode. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.